And today we are talking about that. It's like, some of the wealth turns right now that everybody needs to make is part of it is your mindset. But you know how they say, what is that saying? It's like, uh, s- sunrise at night, sailor's delight, sunset in the morning, or sailor take warning, or something, or there's some sort of saying
Mhm.
that is there. Hey, Nisha, nice to see you on. It's there to actually keep you to the point where you're looking at an almanac, like the farmer's almanac. And she said good morning, by the way. um, like the
Morning.
farmer's almanac, or you're
Yeah.
looking at some old school thing that says, if this looks this way, then this is the action you need to take.
Mhm.
And so there are all kinds of old school warnings like that. And in the hidden rules, there are some basic levels. It's like, if this, then this. If
Yes.
this, they're trying to manipulate you. If this, they're trying to steal from you. If this, they're trying to get you permission based. Well,
Mhm.
that's kind of what we're talking about. We're trying to let everybody know that there are different options. There are different options right now to what wealth can be and do for you. We have market wealth, which is the most familiar form of wealth, is market
Yeah.
wealth. But it's tertiary wealth, which means it's not actual wealth, it's a claim to wealth. So
Mhm.
if you have a stock, you have a claim. And if you have an ETF, you have a claim.
Right.
And when it hits the fan in those claims, you're the last person they are going to want to pay. They're
Yes.
going to pay the vendors and the debt and the this, and if there's anything left, then they'll pay you. And
Mhm.
so the reason I think it's so important we're talking about the rules is because right now, our entire market, our stock market, is being held by the promise of about seven companies. They call the Magnificent Seven. And
Yes.
they're the tech companies
Mhm.
that we are, looking at. And these seven companies are holding up at least 70% of the market. If you
Absolutely.
look at the rest of the market, even in the S&P 500, there's been zero growth, it's been flat. And what these are behind them is these data centers. They want the data
Mhm.
centers to be produced,
Yes.
and everybody's investing in the possibility of the data centers, although there is some controversy about the data centers, which I don't want to get into. The reason we're talking about these hidden rules is so that when you look at wealth, you have some discernment about where you want to move forward, how you want to move forward, and what you need to pay attention to. And so I asked Monique how she was doing today, but I didn't get really an answer from her. I just started talking. So I know you got the hidden rules, and I want to start with that conversation. But first, I want to know, how are you doing after you went number one? You're like, oh my gosh, went number one in 7 hours, which is awesome.
Yes.
And I feel blessed about it.
Very much so. Very much so.
Mm.
It definitely is a blessing to be able to, first of all, write a book and then have support and go through all the numbers that we had to go through, the thousands of other books, so that we could hit number one. And 7 hours was incredible. It was unbelievable. And had a lot of support from my community. And, you know, we have the land, we have the garden, we're doing different things. And everyone in every section of my life right now has supported the book and supported me and my family. And they're super excited because they're in a place where they wanted to know the hidden rules. You know, we are on a schedule in America where we hit a certain age and then we can retire. They tell you
Mm-hmm.
that's your financial freedom date. That's your number that you want to hit. That's your age. And so before that, how can you enjoy life? How can you prepare? Especially if the market takes a downturn. So it has ignited and sparked some conversations and has started, I think, a couple of mindset shifts that were necessary. and young and old.
Yeah.
And what I love about the young people's conversation is they want to be ahead of the game. They know what we were doing wasn't necessarily working because they've heard their parents have conversations. And they're like,
Yep. Yeah,
that's
I
full
don't
of
want to do that. That sounds terrible.
yes. So when we're talking and then the kids were chiming in and saying, this is what we want to know. We're actually going to read your book. We want to find out what the hidden rules are so that we won't have to go through the same thing. And I just thought that that was amazing. I love the fact, Vickie, that you and I chose to write the book at this time
Me
because
too.
there was a sense of urgency. I know you and I talk about it all the time, but we were like, let's write the book, let's get it out, let's let people know what the hidden rules are so they can make educated decisions about their money, about what they're building for themselves. And I mean, I'm here for it. I'm absolutely loving it. It was a whirlwind at first. I wasn't prepared. You know, this is your 48th book, so you know you're well versed. You've been a best-selling author. This was something that changed my life.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what's interesting about this topic right now is I know a lot of people are probably watching this right now going, so why should we listen to you? So
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you why you should listen to me. Um, as I've told this story before, it's in some other ones. I just want to go really quick. Um, my dad made his money illegally. He made his money so illegally that he could not invest in the market, buy a house, do the things that wealthy people who do it legally can
Mhm.
do. And I remember growing up, there were burlap bags of money just hidden in the house. They were cash. And the thing was, I grew up thinking, why get rich? You can't spend it anyway. And I thought everybody who got rich illegally. And so as I grew up, I watched my dad launder his money. Now, this was a long time ago. I would never try any of these things. Don't do it.
Mhm.
But back then, he'd put his money into a Swiss bank account, and he was always the silent partner of, wherever he was. He was a silent partner. He was
Right.
always the investor. But he couldn't do the stock market because then that would how did you get that money to put in the stock market?
Mhm.
He had to kind of do it off book.
Yes.
And so what was interesting was I remember growing up and while I was learning all this and teaching it, I just thought it was bad and it was wrong because it was illegal and I didn't want to, you know, it's really hard growing up in it. It is not the coolest thing ever.
Mhm.
But so what ended up happening was, you talk to your dad while you're doing the thing and you're like, well, what did you do in the war, Dad? And he would say, I'm a spy. I was a spy. And that's all he would say. He would not say anything else,
Mhm.
not a mission that he did. He'd say, I spoke Russian, I learned Russian, and I did this. And everything superficial.
Right.
And it wasn't until he died at 89 that um, I was you're looking for stuff for the memorial.
Mhm.
And when we looked for stuff, my little sister and I found his this book with medals in it and everything else that was there. My mother didn't know it was there. My mother was like, yeah, he'd say he was a spy, but he wouldn't say anything else. But he was a CIA spy.
Mm.
So he was early CIA. And
Right.
so I was like, oh, I think he knew both sides of the thing. Well, what happened with me was when I got in my 20s, I swung the other way. I got a degree in accounting and finance,
Mhm.
and I got all the licenses you could have for the investing side of everything. And then I worked for big investment firms for a long time.
Mhm.
What I noticed over the time was how many people were getting ripped off, and I mean ripped off.
Right.
And I looked at thousands and thousands and thousands of applications, mortgage. I was an auditor. And
Mhm.
so I also did international accounting. And I realized that this side was as corrupt, if not more corrupt, than this side was. So I
Mm,
kind of swung back over here and I started looking at the way my dad built wealth.
right.
And the way he built wealth was old school. He didn't go and he didn't like the market.
Hmm.
Then I started noticing the big people around, Robert Kiyosaki,
Yes.
Grant Cardone. They
Yes.
don't like the market. They hate it, and they're like, "Don't invest in the market."
Hmm.
And if you listen to the cash flow quadrant
Hmm.
from from Robert Kiyosaki,
Hmm.
go be a business owner, go be an investor. He didn't say go be a market investor. He said go be an investor. And what he invests in is completely is like commodity, hard assets, things like that.
Hmm.
Well, when you follow the structure, as long as I have, as far as long as we have, and what's great about Monique is the amount of real estate knowledge this woman has. And I'm talking global real estate, not, hi, I'm your neighborhood real estate agent. Well, yes, she does that too, but she does commercial and investing in projects that are in other countries, building, apartment buildings over there and things like that. And the thing about investing that she has is she has that old school mindset. Like, we do not let someone else steward our money or make us permission based. We're
Yeah.
wealth done right. And so that kind of wealth done right means there's stewardship over the things. And so that's why we wrote the book.
Yeah.
My dad gave us all these hidden rules, and she came up and said these are hidden rules that they don't tell you about wealth. So what we want to do is share it with you.
Hmm.
And did you want to add anything to that, by the way?
I just want to say that I get asked a lot about where my foundation started, where I got my initial drive and hunger to learn the things and to apply them. And I tell everybody that, I have an older brother, and, being raised in Northern Virginia, we lived in Fairfax County, number three in the nation. Super smart, um,
Mm.
always a straight A student, always did well. And Vicky, let me tell you, every time somebody that he knows wrote a story about the person I admire the most, he was the subject. And it wasn't new to us or him that people thought of him in that way. He was always grounded and always very practical. So whenever he told you something, it was always, why are you saying that? Like, I was in high school and I'm 16, I'm graduating. He told my parents, no, put her in a girls' school, which is unheard of in my community, right? It's unheard of. But he knew that the relationships I was going to build and the
Ah,
people that I was going to be around, a lot of governors, a lot of CEOs, just a lot of young girls who parents sent us all there. There was only like three brown girls in the whole school, right? But I trusted his opinion. And then when I was
hmm
18, he just sat me down. He was like, you got to do this and this. You got to start buying gold, silver. You've got to get life insurance. And I didn't have any money. I wasn't working a job. I didn't have the money that I have today.
yeah,
But he said, just start where you're at right now. And he told me, he said, if you'll give me like $50 a week, he's like, I'll invest your money with my money in the energy, in the water, in the food, agriculture. He was like, I will invest
that's right.
your money with mine and you'll grow it and you'll build it. And I was thinking to myself, well, why wouldn't he say something else? And then by the time I was 21, I purchased my first home. 23,
Wow,
25, my second and third home. And then
wow.
commercial real estate. So just early on, just college years, that was the hunger. And then he was like, he wasn't my mentor per se because he lived in another state and then he was traveling a lot, but I always watched what he did.
Yeah,
He built his first home from scratch, right? I mean, he was a general contractor. And I saw him, I would go there while the builders were there, and I was saying, why don't you buy $1 million home? And he was like, it's just me. Why do I need that much house?
that's right.
And so it made me think to myself, even when I can't, he was like, why don't I just invest it in other properties, other things that will continue to make me money? Why would I spend, $40,000, $50,000 a month on a mortgage when I can diversify. And I was like,
Hmm.
I'm just listening. I'm paying attention. I'm watching whatever he's doing. He would, when he would dress up and wear a tuxedo, he wore a tuxedo. But when he was dressed down, you would never know. You would never know anything about his finances. The truck that he drove, initially he drove it like he had a BMW at first. And so I would say, why are you getting a BMW? And he would say, because it's durable, it lasts. Like even when you replace the parts, you're good for years. And I would say, okay, it makes sense. But then he kept the truck for like 15, 20 years.
That's me. Yep.
Like, what? And then here's a real thing that I watched him do. Now I'm performing wealth, right? Probably because of my career, not because of him, but probably because of my career. And so at a certain level, everybody was getting braces, Vickie. My brother and I have a gap. You're gonna love this. He wouldn't touch it. And
Wow.
I would say, why aren't you getting braces? And he was like, because I love who I am.
Because I know who I am. Congratulations to him. And that's such a powerful sentence because that's how people get sucked into this other world right here is because they don't know who they are. And it's interesting because wealth is a structure, but wealth is also a mindset.
Yes.
And when you have real wealth, and I mean true wealth, you have a bit of discipline and discernment and the ability to know the difference between what you want and what you want to experience before you die and fitting in and belonging because they get you in the fitting in and belonging just like high school was.
Hmm.
I mean, get over it, people. High school was high school. And you were like, well, in high school, I didn't get my Nikes. So now I got to get my Nikes now.
Hmm.
It's like there's a point where you know who you are. What a great brother that was. That was, yeah, I would have listened to him too. He was there. So that's kind of how we have grown up with these experiences and learning about wealth in this way. And we want to share it with the rest of the world because this over here is so fake. And it's the you own nothing and you're going to be happy about it. You have that stock over there and you own nothing and
Hmm.
you think you own something, but you don't. And so, in the hidden rules today, we're going to take a few of them and talk about them in a way that is easy for people to understand. And we usually do about 3 a show, and the 3 goes in depth so that when the money comes, you don't give it your power away. You know what to do with it. You can read documents well. You can negotiate for yourself better.
Hmm.
And I just want to take the first one of the 3 today and say what they are, but now you know why we do this. We're going to continue doing this. We're new to the podcasting gig. Well, I'm not, but on Substack, here
Hmm.
we are and we're doing this. We're a new show. I think this is maybe our 14th episode or something like
We're
that.
still new.
Yeah, we're still in the new phase. So grow with us and enjoy us. And yeah, let's go with the first one. Let's talk about what we got going on.
Talk about hidden rule number 106. If you need approval to earn, you will always be vulnerable. Because many people believe they own a business or that they own everything that they have. And in reality, they're renting access. They're renting
Mhm.
visibility from social media platforms, renting distribution from algorithms, and written permission from institutions. And when someone else controls access to your income, they also control a portion of your future. And I just want to say this part very quickly. I know we're talking about business here, but even we were talking about it earlier, the traditional wife. And
Mhm.
I went to an all girls school, think like a finishing school. And you're learning manners, you're learning etiquette, you're learning how to play the piano, be an equestrian, different things. No one was taught to sit and eat cereal and watch TV. We were taught education to learn math and science at the deepest level so that you can teach your children, not so that you can stay at home, but if you need to homeschool them and something happened to their education system, that you can supplement it. Even the education piece. A lot of times they think housewives don't have an education, they don't have a degree, they don't have any aspirations or want to become anything. That you're just, living the soft life and your husband is just taking care of you and you're just looking pretty. Now you know how to go to a dinner meeting, how to represent yourself. If your husband has a job or position, you know how to negotiate. There were skills that you were learning. You weren't learning just to stay home and to depend on his income and to depend on one bank account, to depend on the things that society right now, especially social media, is positioning the young women to believe that's what the soft life is. It's not dependence. I just wanted to say that. I mean, I literally could talk about this all day long because I've lived it. That is not the case. And I have stayed home. I have a large family. I have children. But you better believe every day I am doing something to increase myself, reading a book, earning income, whatever it is. And I have ownership and I'm able to retire because I still, business income for one, I-9, W-2, whatever's feeding into Social Security, which I don't depend on anyway. But your family, your daughters. I have a daughter. I have a lot of sons, but I also have a daughter. And she is not taught that way. She's taught to be able to hold her own. And just seeing the women on social media, they have a business. They are
Yeah.
online, have followers,
Yeah.
have programs, have courses, have
They're
everything.
selling already. They're already entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
Yep. And that's the whole beauty of being alive right now. There's so much opportunity.
Yes.
Every family, whether you are a homeowner, a condo, an apartment, I don't care. Every family needs to have a home-based business. And not just any home-based business, not the dream business. If your home-based business is costing you 20, 30, $40,000 a year to get marginal coaching or whatever else, you're in the wrong business. And
Hmm.
I don't mean a side hustle. I
No.
don't mean an MLM where I sell vitamins or whatever else that you do with MLMs. Not that. Because they're like, this one product has to be $50 because it's
Hmm.
got to, pay 7 people down the line. That's ridiculous. It's not going to work.
Right.
And if you have a side hustle depends a lot on your time. It's super time consuming. You want something that is magically going to be built with cash flow veins.
Yes.
Cash flow veins are the things that sell without you advertising,
Hmm.
without you. It's like, so I want to give you an example of those things right there and why they're so important. And the other thing that is going to be really important for you to understand is the difference between an access point and a real world at asset, a real world asset and an access point. So I'm going to give you those examples. And I'm going to use cryptocurrency right now because that's new. And
Hmm.
a cryptocurrency, if you go to Coinbase, you can buy a Bitcoin and you can say, I have a Bitcoin.
Yes.
You have access to a Bitcoin.
Hmm.
It's Coinbase that has your Bitcoin. You put that Bitcoin, you're like, "Yes, I bought one and now I have a Bitcoin." Well, if you don't take possession of that digital asset, so the digital asset is a Bitcoin and it sits over there. If you don't take control of this, they have control of it. And you have the feeling of having something. But
Hmm.
if it's not that digital thing in your hand, which is why you go get a wallet and you switch that Bitcoin from an electronic wallet, just like,
Hmm.
the bank has your dollars
Hmm.
and you think, I have this much money in the bank. And somehow you can see that you have access to money here. And then when we get online, we don't understand that Bitcoin is like a dollar. It's a thing that you can trade and do business with, etc.
Yeah.
So just like you go to the bank and you get a couple of dollars and you put them in your wallet and then you have money on hand, you want to get an electronic wallet and you move it. You move your Bitcoin to the electronic wallet here.
Yes.
And now you have possession of the Bitcoin. You
Yes.
have access to the Bitcoin. And here's the thing, we don't understand the difference between access
Mhm.
and having ownership.
Yes.
Ownership is when the asset is under your control. And so that's with dollars or Bitcoin. So we're going to look at that for a moment. And knowing that you have access to it, it'll make you feel good. You'll think that you have something. You right now you live in an HOA and you don't know how easy it is for them to foreclose on your house if they want to.
Yes.
And that's the whole point. It's like, well, I followed the rules, I this, I that, and blah, blah, blah. But I bet there is something hidden in that contract that
Mhm.
if they wanted to foreclose on you and get you out of your own home after you've done everything right. And that's the point of
Mhm.
access. Access is they have control and you have permission. And the thing is, if they can freeze your bank account or stop you from your Coinbase account. So in my Coinbase account, I only have trading money. The money that I use to trade
Mhm.
inside the account,
Right.
that's it.
Mhm.
So that none of it is taken from me at all. And you want to have control of everything. So it's like if you don't own the land in underneath you, it's like if you spend $500,000 buying a house in a gated community where you can't do anything without permission, if you can't do anything in that way, can you see how that you have access to it, but you don't actually own it? Where
Mhm.
a farmer can go out and say, "We need to build a barn right over there." He gets the permit to build the barn and bam, there it is.
It
It's
is.
built on there. If it's like there is a point where when you have control,
Mhm.
you have rights to say, "This is what I want to do with my land." Now, you can't obviously poison the land, or there are some
Right.
restrictions in that area that are laws, but the land is owned by you and the
Yes.
minerals underneath and the
Mhm.
water rights underneath and everything else around that piece of land. That is what we call an RWA, or a real world asset.
Mhm.
And if you look at Bitcoin right now, or commodities, the commodities market I love because those are where the real world assets sit. It's food based, agricultural based, energy based. And so the commodities market is access to energy, or it's access to corn, or, oranges. But I would rather have the land that has the oil on it, that has the oranges on it,
Mhm.
that has the corn on it. I'd rather own that land and be able to build and do with what I want with that land.
Yes.
And the thing is, if you can't do that, you are permission based living. So, what has happened, and the reason we wrote this book is literally so many people feel stuck.
Yes.
They're so, I'm stuck. I
Mhm.
live paycheck to paycheck. I don't know what to do to make myself unstuck. But the stuckness that we're dealing with right now is purposely done. It is people building permission based things and talking you out of the power of your own stewardship.
Yes.
They're like, "Well, let me run it for you." And
Mhm.
you think, "Well, they're going to do better with my money than I am." And then they're like, "Let me manage your money." So you give them the money over here, maybe your dollar cost average, and you're giving them money every month. And every time you give them money, you become permission based. They control your money. You think, "I have access to this," and maybe you do under perfect circumstances. And in perfect circumstances, you think, well, I'm going to earn a lot of money because it's market based. And it appears to be that way right now, doesn't it? Because the
Oh,
market's
yeah,
so high.
it's doing great, which
Hmm.
is not normal. And the people who are watching it feel the uncomfortability with it. They know
Hmm.
something's wrong. How are we at war? How is the strait closed? How is the market the best ever? And people are losing jobs. Inflation is high. How is all this happening succinctly? Why? Why? Why is it happening? But you know, the agenda, you're going to own nothing and be happy. I think it's the illusion. And I love what you said about the hustle culture. That, you know, whenever you build a lifeboat business, you're making sure that you're not going to be as vulnerable as you are without it. And people think, oh, I can get a side hustle. I can get quick cash and then flip it and keep doing that. That's not a business that you can sustain for a long time. And that's going to wear you out. You're going to have to get something, do something, and then try to flip it. That kind of culture that we're in right now isn't to sustain you. And then
Agreed.
the thing that I love is that with, like we're talking about Bitcoin, people don't know that they can move it. They have been online and they see, okay, get Bitcoin, go to Coinbase, it's easy, just leave it. What if I've seen so many, including Binance, right? I've seen so many market
Oh,
things just,
belly up.
yeah. Why would you leave it there? You've invested so much time and you've seen it grow that you could lose it.
Hmm.
And I just don't think
There,
that people know.
yeah, they don't understand. They want the money, but they don't understand how to steward the money.
Yes.
And so the stewarding the money and stewarding the wealth seems better if it's under an analyst, a planner, an advisor. That's what a manager, something that's going to manage all my wealth, blah, blah, blah. I think the safest place to put it is a trust that you control.
Yes.
And to me, as I look at all that wealth, I disregard anything that is contractual until it goes through an attorney. And I
Hmm.
know that somebody out there is going to create an app. It's probably already out there somewhere where
Hmm.
you can put the contract in and can nail the gotchas, because there's a lot of things that you can do. It's like the question you need to ask yourself is, what do I own? Not what do I have access to? What do I own? What's under my control right in the moment?
Yes.
And so, even if you say, well, let's say you got an inheritance, and let's make for easy math, let's say it's $1,000 and you put that $1,000 in the bank. Well, as long as that $1,000 is in the bank's already using it to make money.
Yes.
It's already lent it out to
Mhm.
somebody else to make money. And you think you have access to $1,000 that is in the bank. And maybe that bank is paying you a half, one, let's be generous, 2% interest. And they're making, 14, 15% on the money and giving you 2%.
Mhm.
And what happens is there's a market crash, and the market crash is very, easy. So you go over to the ATM and you're like, I'm going to give my $1,000 out right now. So you go to the ATM and they're like, hi, sorry, we're not giving you that money right now. And you're like, that's my money. What happened to the money where you have access that you need it? That's my money. I saved it for this rainy day, for this emergency, and it's an emergency. I want my money back.
Mhm.
So you go in there and maybe they say, well, you can take up to $250 of that $1,000, but you can't have your $1,000. And so who's controlling your wealth? Is it really you? Do you know the difference between having access to an account? Just because you have an account
Mhm.
does not mean ownership.
It does not.
Ownership has title. It's like, hi, I paid the car off. Here's the title. I
Mhm.
paid the house off. Here's the title. And so what happens is ownership isn't a claim. It's not access to something.
At all.
And that's what we have to learn at this first part of growing wealth. is the difference between, and knowing the difference between what you have access to, which makes you powerless and permission based, and what you own, which makes you powerful and sovereignly wealthy. Now, there are two types of that sovereign wealth. Banks and this side of this system want you to save.
Yes.
Save, 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 save. 401ks, IRAs, retirement vehicles, mutual funds. Let's just save, save, save. And here's your savings accounts. And what they do is they want you to save, and they make you feel like saving is the most important thing you could ever do. Wealthy people don't save money. Money loses value every single day. Why would you save it? They build cash flows, and
Hmm.
they build cash flows in a way so that they're not dependent on any one single cash flow.
Hmm.
And that's what the hidden rules begins to tell you about when we're looking at the future of your wealth. You either are going to feel stuck or you're going to steward your wealth. That's
Yes.
it. Paycheck to paycheck or stewarding your money.
Hmm.
Those are the two things that's the skill that they don't want you to see. They
Hmm.
want you to believe that when you invest over here, save, 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 and then feel diversified when you've saved in vehicles in one market. So they
Hmm.
tell you all the time, what is it? Don't put don't put all your eggs in
Eggs
one
in one
basket.
basket. Hmm.
That's right. That's the thing. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And they make you think, here's diversification.
Hmm.
Well, here's diversification. If you have an IRA and you have a 401k and your employer is matching you money, it's 30%. The employer is giving you free money.
Hmm.
And they always say, here's your free money. And then did you get your mutual fund? And then did you get, and you don't realize as you're starting to get here, you're thinking, look at all, I'm so diversified.
Right.
You're in one basket. It's a market
Market.
basket.
Yes.
That's it. That's all you got, market basket. And that's it. When the market goes down, so does everything else. When it skyrockets, so does everything else.
Hmm.
But I think Wall Street is the most corrupt financial unit there is. Did you want to add something? Because I've been talking so long, I forget to let you talk. Shut up, Vickie.
No, I mean, it's so true. It's so true. And not only that, but whenever you start thinking about putting your eggs in different baskets, and we've talked about this, some things, even real estate, market based. Like if you
Hmm.
own your own land and it's income producing, you have a farm and you have food and you have water rights and you're able to steward that. Versus, okay, now I have an Airbnb internationally or up the street and I don't have any travelers because the market, because gas is high, because in places
Hmm.
people are choosing to eat and travel locally, then they're willing to get on a plane and travel internationally because flights are being canceled and we don't really know what's going on with the war.
Yeah.
That's market based. But if you own your own income producing land, then you are in control over your wealth. You have your own food, you have your own water. You can rent your land out. You can sell the food. You can, there's so many different
Yeah.
things you can do because of ownership
Yeah.
versus that market based because everybody else is doing it and getting involved in it. We are sold that. I was sold it and I bought it. I bought it. But I didn't buy it for long. Like you already know. You're intelligent. There's something that is inside of you that is saying, I don't have to wait, like hidden rule number 50. It says, if your freedom is scheduled, it's not freedom, it's a waiting room.
That's
We don't
right.
have to wait for freedom. They're telling you that you have to wait, that you have to continue to put money here so they can match it, that you're going to have to, you know, only use it for life events. And then if you buy a house, you got to take a loan out on your own money. You got to pay it back with interest. If your kids go to college, the whole thing is them making money off of your money sitting there.
And
And
giving you permission. If they
yes,
don't want to, they don't have to.
No, and if your money is sitting there in your savings account, they're going to be able to make money off of it. And if, I mean, like, they're just going to keep making money off of it. They're just going to keep lending it, and you're going to be sitting there thinking that 2% is great. When we don't have to wait, we work now. We want to be maybe 55, 60 years old and retire. We don't want to wait till 69, 67. I mean, because you want to be able to travel. You want to still be able to get on that plane. You want to be able to still kiss your loved ones and do things together. So if you're scheduled, that's not freedom, it is a waiting room. You're
Yeah.
just waiting for that time to come for you to be able to have permission to enjoy your retirement, permission to enjoy your wealth, permission to be able to access it. And then they're still going to tax it. They're still going to tax it. They're still going to make money off of you, regardless, because you're already in the system.
This is so important what she has just said, because this is how they taught you to be wealthy. And here's what the wealthy do. And this is so important because people are mad at the wealthy. There are, so they vilify wealthy people right now. Like, you stole from us. No, we didn't. We just worked the plan. And
Mm,
here's the plan. The way the market wealth works, here is how diversification happens with wealthy people. It's either vertical or horizontal. And
mhm,
the vertical is like, you own a Ford dealership and you're in the car industry, but you also own GM parts.
mhm.
And that GM parts is like, and then you own the factory that builds the cars. And
Yes.
everything that you do, including finance the cars, you have a finance company. So in there, you have, hi, I have the sales floor where I sell the cars. I have the GM parts where I fix the
Hmm.
cars. I have the financial thing where I finance a car that you're buying. And then I sell you the insurance on the computers inside the car. The
Hmm.
vertical is everything that has to do with the building of the car. Every business in there that they have 5, 6 cash flows
Yes.
that are all in one. That's vertical diversification.
Hmm.
Horizontal diversification is when you have businesses, and I do a lot of, I'm telling you, I do a lot of horizontal diversification. You have businesses that don't align in one industry. So maybe you have a ice cream store, which I have had, and I've had bookstore, and ice cream store and bookstore have nothing to do with each other.
Hmm.
But the ice cream store is great in a depression or in the summertime, or it's not going down. Or you have a laundromat, and
Hmm.
then you have an ice cream store, and then you have a uh, oh, let's say just a secondhand store that you own. So you have one, two, three businesses. Then you own a farm on top of that that has a farm stand on it. And
Hmm.
you have like one, two, three, four cash flows. The farm is pretty seasonal cash flow.
Hmm.
And ice cream, you can close it down in the winter times unless you live in Florida. But you have businesses that are like, well, I have a gas station, a grocery store, an ice cream store. That's horizontal diversification.
Hmm.
And you have to figure out sometimes having a vertical business with several cash flows in it, that's really well diversified. So maybe you're the landowner, there's thousands of acres, and you plant corn because that's the number one thing we plant, but you own the fertilizer producer, you are the seed producer that other people buy that from. Or if you just have a farm and you have, well, I sell eggs and I sell vegetables and I sell flowers
Hmm.
and I sell fruit when they're in season and I sell vegetables. And you can keep all of those in that vertical of what you sell. And maybe later you sell milk. And then pretty soon your farm stand is having several things that it's not just one thing. We only sell corn. That's it. And if you don't want corn, well, I don't know what to do. And a good farm stand is like, we have several of these products
Yes.
and they all align in one industry. And even if you sell soap on there or stuff
Hmm.
that you can make, that you have to figure out whether you're horizontal with your assets or vertical with your assets. But wealthy people, a lot of them, I really like horizontal, so I'm not depending on, like, if the car industry goes down
Yeah,
and
your
nobody's
whole yeah.
buying cars, and yeah, or if it goes up, horizontal diversification. In my case, I have 48 books
Mhm,
and I have online programs. I have both online assets and offline assets. I have a hobby farm. I don't have a full farm. I
mhm,
have energy assets and everything else that you can have where they don't need my time.
mhm.
Like, I write the book once, I put the book up, people buy the book, and
Right.
they buy it when they darn good, well ready to buy the book. And once they see, like, oh, I have more books, they may go, I want that one and that one and that one. I may
Mhm.
sell 3 books on that. So that's the whole point. Wealth is stewarded when
Yes.
you are vertical or horizontal with it. I think when times are uncertain, having horizontal is safer than
Mhm.
having a vertical. That's my opinion. And you can, find out or do what you want, but learning about what you're looking at is, does my home based business, right? So I have a podcast right now I'm doing with Monique, which is one of my home based businesses, but
Mhm,
I still write books. I still will continue to write books. I still teach. I still have private clients.
mhm.
And in that online digital space, I want to make income veins. And what that is a cash flow vein. A cash flow vein is you do it once and it just suddenly keeps producing for you over and over and over again. And when you create that and you steward
Mhm.
that wealth takes you to different places, but you have to figure out what you're doing. So a lot of people, they get pitched,
Yes.
especially private equity people. They get pitched something,
Mhm.
usually real estate deals.
Yes.
And so you start out with the real estate deal like, here, we're going to have this posh place in Cabo and we're building it now. Do you want in or out? Yes or
Mhm.
no. And so then you're like, here's my real estate, my real estate, my real estate, my real estate, my real estate. You're pretty vertically invested.
Yes. Yes.
And the thing about real estate is, even though you're vertically invested, you still have a lot of monthly income coming in that you don't have to go chase.
Yes.
So to me, that those things are there. But what I don't want to do, I don't want to manage the real estate. I want somebody else to do that for
Mhm.
me. So you may have some costs over here depending on what it is. And I'm not a big fan of real estate because I did the real estate when you owned the property, you rented it out, you had renters,
Mhm.
and I was like, this is more work than I want to do. So you have to figure out whether you want to be horizontally or vertically diversified, and you need to know what you're doing. You
Yeah.
don't wanna make a
Yes.
business, because 'cause I've made the mistake of buying the business and it working the tail feathers off of me, and, I was like, "Oh god, I don't wanna do this anymore," you know? And, you have to understand the difference between vertical, which is
Mhm.
everything is in one single industry and you're running it all, and so to me, I want to go with the vertical for real estate. You could do homes, you could do apartments, you can do commercial real estate. You can sell, or then you own the landscaping company that is taking care of these properties.
Right.
Then you own the property
Mhm.
management company that is taking, and then suddenly you're in that industry, and that's all the way down. You are leveraged inside a vertical. A horizontal would be, I own an apartment complex. Let's just say it's a quad. You just have a fourplex
Mhm.
and you have renters in your fourplex and it's a pretty small, but then you own the washer and dryer area, the laundromat that's
Mhm.
there that is collecting the money so that these people can do their laundry, and you own the landscaping company that is keeping up with the maintenance of the property,
Mhm.
and then you own something completely different, like, I don't know, let's see, a farm
Mhm.
or a farm stand or a secondhand store. And by the way, I want to let you know something. Secondhand stores, they're very profitable. I've had a
Yes.
few of them, and I
Mm.
think my mother ran one for about 12 years of her life. And you would think that secondhand stores, but if you do a secondhand store correctly,
Yes.
and that's the thing, you have to do it correctly, and you have to make sure your secondhand store serves the community.
Right.
So, the go ahead, say it.
When I had my secondhand store, I was right next to.
Oh, I didn't know you had one. How
Mhm.
nice.
It was right next to get like labor ready, get paid today, work today.
Mhm.
And so a lot of people would buy belts, cargo pants, steel toe boots. That was like one of my best sellers. Everybody in the community knew, but I knew I didn't want people to have to throw away clothes because landfills are just filled with a bunch of stuff that we buy and we just don't use, don't need. And people would recycle. They would buy the clothes. Like I would take them to a recycling. Like I had streams of income from the secondhand store and
Nice.
owning the building. And that's where also I had my like in the back of it, I had about 5, 6 offices. So I had a co-working space. But the front of the store was a storefront. And then they would shop and they would go to the back. And you had to, in order to get to the back to another business, you had to come through the store.
Ah,
And then
nice.
my kids had vending machines in there. And then they had vending machines in like in the whole strips. Like we would go strip to strip. All the labor,
Brilliant.
all the barber shops, everything that is on this strip, we would go to the next one that we had. But we always had an entrance and an exit strategy. I knew when
Mhm.
I wanted to sell,
Mhm.
who I wanted to sell to. I knew who I wanted to be the seller. Like when we were doing deals, I didn't want somebody that was going to come in and get rid of it. I knew I wanted somebody that understood community, that wanted to come in and continue to build on what we
Yeah.
were building. When we had our vending route, it was at all the blood banks. We had a chain, but we had a janitorial business that cleaned the blood banks. We already had a relationship with it. And then they had to have juice and they had to have snacks in there for people we
That's
had to give
right.
blood. So we put the vending machines in there. So we had that complete route. But we packaged it up, we scaled it, packaged it up, and then sold it. So there's ways to do it, but you got to know your interest and your exit. You got to know if you plan to scale into sell, or if you're going to think about doing it long term, horizontal or vertical.
Yeah.
I knew straightway I wanted to scale at that time, but I
Mhm.
can't do this forever.
I think that's so brilliant because I think my mom, she had a vintage shop where there was vintage dresses and everything else. And there was always, this was, back, there's always the parties where you have to get vintage clothing. And
Hmm.
then Halloween, obviously, really, really
Yeah.
big. But I think one of the things that you said that was so perfect was you have to have an exit plan. And most people are just like, will I make $1? But the thing about secondhand stores during the pandemic, when all shipping stopped,
Hmm.
all the secondhand stores were where everybody shopped because they were running out of inventory in the mainstream. So people were like, "Well, I can't find this here. There's no more of these. There's no more of that." And what did they do? They went to the secondhand stores and they were like, "Oh my gosh, there's something that fits me, and I'll use this for now." And that's interesting about the work boots because those work boots, men go through those. They're especially around where I live,
Hmm.
and their need in a community doesn't stop. And so, if you're getting to the point where you are planning to be horizontally diversified, you have to think about what you're doing because you can't run every business that you open. There's a point where it's got to have, and I love the thing that you said, the walk through the business and go from here to here to here. So I have a relationship with the blood bank and they need food and water and orange juice or something after people give blood, which is what they do. And then, the the whole point of understanding what you can do as a cash flow vein. I love that you made it a family business and your sons were doing the vending machines and
Mhm.
everything else. It's so smart. And now all of them are entrepreneurial. There are all these young men already making money because they have learned the difference between ownership, which is a type of stewardship. You have to steward your wealth.
Yes.
And the way she did it, when she built it, you have to have your exit plan. You got to know who you want to sell the business to. And that's how I make every business. If somebody, I start with who I want to sell it to, and I make it so it's not my name, so it's not
Mhm.
branded by me. I want it to be its own thing. If somebody comes and says to you, I want to buy this business, or when you're done and you know who you want to sell it to, and you know where you want to do it, you can get out of it quick. Like, I used to, one of the things that I have done is looked at a certain business, knew what I needed to do, due diligence wise, bought the business, upscaled, made it profitable, and then just sold it.
Mhm.
Here's the business it's running. Here's this, and you always know who to sell it
Yeah.
to. And so you don't need to build a Walmart brand. You just need to have horizontal here. And how many do you need?
Mhm.
Don't depend on one business. And that's how the wealthy do it. They're either vertically or horizontally own a something. So the Ford owners, they own GM parts, there's all these, the factory, the everything else. And that one businesses, that vertical since the 1900s has
Yes.
been, it's been the handed down
Rockefeller.
yeah, it's the Ford legacy that is like, and Rockefeller, all the energy things that he did.
And the price points, what I love is, like, if you think about Toyota and Lexus, you have different price points for everyone all the time. You think about Kraft, you think about
Mhm.
all the major corporations, Pepsi, Coke, you think about how they have something for every person. You have the water drinks, the energy drinks. You have, for instance, my sons are athletes. They have particular drinks that they drink. Think
Yeah.
about it's not Gatorade. Gatorade has too much sugar in it, but it's another brand. But that brand came about because they knew that that person was an athlete already. So athletes understand athletes, and it's like business owners understand business owners.
Yep.
So you already know in your mind what your person or what your business purchaser, the one you're going to sell it to, looks like. You already know what they want, so you set up your clients like that. You set up your flow like that because you know that they're going to want to buy it because technology like AI, you know they're going to want to have AI in it. It's 2026, so it's got to have
Hmm.
something that's going to streamline it and cut down on overhead as far as employees and
Yeah.
things like that. But if you find out that, hey, I can sell this at $20 for
Mm.
the C client, I could sell this for $75. For the B client, I could sell it for $1,000. For the A client, I could just package it up and brand it. It's the same thing, but it's branded toward each individual audience. You even have the horizontal, different um, sectors within your horizontal and your vertical at the same.
Mhm. It's interesting part of where I live very close to Aspen, Colorado, up in the mountains on
Yes.
that. So Aspen has a secondhand store. And let me tell you, when you go into that secondhand store, what you're going to find. My mom back in the day, she would go up and she made a relationship with the Aspen store,
Hmm.
and she would go get all kinds of stuff and bring that vintage stuff to her store. And you're right there. If you understand the ABC client and you're like, okay, I know who I'm selling to, why I'm selling it, what it's for, etc. This is just we're scratching the surface to
Hmm.
building wealth right now, but we're landing at some basics. And the first two basics of those hidden rules is like access does not equal ownership. That's
Yeah.
that there. But today we talked about the first two. Do me a favor and tell me, read the first one again.
Mm, Okay, so I went over 106, which was if you need approval to earn, you will always be vulnerable. We talked about the
Yeah.
lifeboat business and why that was
Yeah.
important. And then we talked about hidden rule number 109. Anything that promises safety without trade offs is selling you something. And then there's number 50, which is one of our favorites. If your freedom is scheduled, it is not freedom, it is a waiting room.
That's right.
Did we hit 106? I mean, I'm sorry, 109. Anything that promises you safety without trade-offs is selling you something.
Yeah. Anything that promises you safety. Yeah, it's interesting because that's the first thing that they sell women. I
Mhm.
mean, women love to hear the word safety. We want to be safe. I know I do.
And how
And one of the thing is, it's like um that's how insurance is sold.
mhm,
Insurance is like, you know, and to me, insurance is not about safety. It's a fallback.
mhm,
And the safety piece is how they get you to save inside an insurance policy, which is stupid in my opinion.
mhm.
And there are these advertisers on the this is what the wealthy do. They save all this money in a life insurance policy and then they borrow it. Then they don't have to pay taxes on it. I'm sorry, that is not what the wealthy do. That's how you sell whole life insurance to people who
Right,
are unsuspecting and wanting to
right.
perform wealth. And so it's insurance is simple. It's you buy, you die, we pay.
Yes.
You get in the accident and we pay. We do
Mhm.
the repairs. We do that. That's what insurance is for. It's not an investment vehicle. It's never meant to be an investment vehicle, but it gets very permission based when you start putting that whole life insurance policy. And most people with a whole life insurance policy don't know what they have and they
No,
don't know who to go see. I'm
no.
very much term insurance. And I don't
Yes.
mean I'm like a flat level term, not one that's increasing or decreasing term. I want a flat level term. You
Mhm,
buy, you die, we pay, and this is what we're going to pay. And I want simplicity.
mhm,
And that is the backup plan. I think insurance is the foundation of any wealth plan. And the
mhm.
reason I think that is because if you're going to buy assets, you need to protect them. And the way that you see it is it's protection that you're buying, not investment. Protection. Insurance is protection. That's what it is. So if they start wheeling and dealing and trying to make insurance something that it isn't, then all you're doing is getting more permission based. Hi, I have all this money. Can I borrow my own money? There's foundational things that you have to have in place. So you have your insurance first,
Mhm.
and then you have your backup money that you don't touch. It is for contingency only.
Yes.
Most people are so in debt that they have to have the
Mhm.
insurance
Seriously, the
so that the debt doesn't fall back on their spouse if anything happens. You want to
when
make it so that it's a backup plan.
whenever someone this was years ago. Everybody knows I'm term insurance as well.
Mhm.
At this point, I have too many kids, so I'm not leaving them a lot of debt. I have enough money that will cover whatever my debts are. So just bury me, with the money in the bank. Just don't go. Just use that whatever. But um, when my brother was talking to me early on, he was like, "Don't get in so much debt that you can't. When you die, you can't pay it off with your own money. You don't want to leave somebody a lot of debt."
Yeah.
And so we started building our family and getting bigger. And someone came to us years and years ago, was like, "Hey, college, you can do this. You could buy a house. You could be your own bank. You can." And I was like, "Okay, well, what are the numbers? You got to invest so many thousands of dollars into this thing before you can even touch it, before you can be the bank. Then once you become the bank, in order for you to access it, it's again permission based, a lot of fees, a lot of Like they want to sell you the ideal that you could, but then you really can't. So, I ask a lot of questions because I'm nosy and I want to know to protect myself. So how
Yep.
would I get the money out?
Yeah.
When can I get the money out? So I need to invest like 100K. I could just pay for college, but now I need to
Yeah.
put that in there to become a bank to be able to lend money to myself. Why don't you just be your own bank and borrow money from your own self?
Mm.
Just create wealth and not need that as an option anyway. If the bank has your money and it is holding it, and as you have access to it, yourself as a bank, it's the same idea. But now you're getting penalized to get on your own money, and that to me just has never made sense. I've always asked someone to really explain it to me because everybody's doing it. I was like, really, just help me to understand. Why would you want me to? The agent came to our house, and my husband, he has a lot of questions. Why would we do that?
Yeah.
Why would we do that? And why are you doing that? I love it when he asks him that. He always asks, whoever's doing the investment, because now we're in like the private market, right? So they're talking about real estate deals. They're talking about investing in companies. Hey, we need a partner that wants to invest in this company and start this business off, and they're doing really good. For instance, if they were in a competition like a pitch fest and their company did really good, seed money, they have it, such and such backed them. Do you want to be a part of it? You can earn this on the back end. How long? How many years? Okay, well, give us 2 years. The first, they've got to get their money. We got to make more production. Why are we doing this? And what are you doing? Why are you doing this? What are you getting out of it? What percentage are you getting out of it? Nobody wants to talk about that part. Nobody wants to ask the whole life company how much money they're making off of people.
Yeah.
How come we can't access our money until we hit a certain number? But you've been accessing it the whole time we've been investing.
That's right. That's
It's
right.
a complicated problem to have. And a lot of us, on rule number 109, anything that promises you safety without trade-offs is selling you something. And the most expensive financial decision is often made in pursuit of certainty. We just want to make sure that everything is going to be okay. We just want to make sure that nothing's going to break down. We just want to make sure, like, just buy your own car if you can, cash, right? And then just
Yeah.
get liability insurance. Why are we paying all this extra money for insurance when you drive off the lot, your car depreciating?
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
even worth that amount anymore. Why don't we put the insurance on the real value of the car versus the amount that I'm paying for it? And then I drive it off the lot and I can't even get that amount back. So,
I think these are, rules that it's like we're so pitched, and propaganda and everything comes from here,
yes.
because over here you're just building and stewarding your wealth, and you're doing your thing over here, and you have to learn this piece of it. And this is the hidden rules that they don't want you to know about. They want control of your money. They want you to be permission based. They want to make all the money off your money.
Yes.
And they don't want to give you access to your money because of that, even though they say, well, when the kid's ready for college, then look at how much money they're going to have. And the truth is, you can't really say that. And it's the amount of risk you take here versus the amount of stability that's over here.
Hmm.
So, here's what I want to talk about that I think is really, really important right now. One is, in a marriage, this is just me talking, this is my opinion. In a marriage, stop being husband and wife, start being partners. And if you argue a lot, then go see somebody, figure out how to work together. It's going to be important
Yeah.
because the partnership that you create right now, community business is going to come back on the rise. Why?
Hmm.
Because we are hitting peak oil. And what that means is there's only so much oil left, and they're going to start having to ration it. They're
Hmm.
going to have to manage the oil that's on the planet right now.
Right.
And what's going to happen is we think oil is like the sun. It's always going to be there. The sun for billions of years has gone around the planet and heated everything up and made the seasons and done the thing. And we just think oil is like that. But oil is finite and it's shrinking and shrinking and shrinking
Yeah.
and shrinking. And so shipping products and shipping things are going to be expensive. And if you start even going into a big box store right now, Costco, Walmart, things like that, in certain places, you're going to see items that are not as readily available. And now Costco's distribution centers, they can, Idaho potatoes and, some other country's potatoes here, and the country's potatoes are going away because the cost to ship and the tariff costs are too high.
Hmm.
And so it's the importer that eats that cost. And so what's going to happen is community based businesses are going to be there. People don't want to, they're like, where can I pick up my local where can I pick up local clothing? Where can I pick up local food? Where can I pick up local businesses? All those little small businesses, there's a bunch of them that are going to be thriving again. And they're
Hmm.
going to be thriving because they don't need outside gas and oil. So even if you go to like here's what I know. I used I've had a numismatic background since I was like 19. So numismatics is coin collecting and selling of rare date gold and silver. And so I've done that for a lot. And the thing about that is that the thing that gives these coins absolute um, money is that they don't make them again. They're not making them again. So if there nobody's going to make another 1893 S, um, you know,
Hmm.
Morgan silver dollar. It's just not going to happen because 1893 is gone. And so if you have an 1893 S, then you have a pretty quality coin,
Hmm.
and it's a great place to store money. But if you bought a silver dollar today, which would be the walking Liberty dollar, it'd be worth the value of the silver, where this has the collector's value. And the margin between this being bullion and this being numismatic, or this is the secondary market for it, me selling it to a collector,
Yeah.
that secondary market, that is small business right now. And secondhand stores are the secondary market. When there is no shipping of this and that, this whole secondary market comes up. And secondary market, there's primary market. The primary market is goods and services shipped in from all over the world that we do trade with, and we
Hmm.
go, and that's primary market. And the secondary market is the gently used. It's like the primary car market and the owner, the new car and the slightly used car.
Hmm.
That's it. So you can buy a new car and you can buy this. This is the primary market. This is secondary market.
Hmm.
It's the same for clothing. Clothing, here's all the posh brands, et cetera, et cetera. And here's the secondary market. My house burnt down. I lost everything, blah, blah, blah. Where do I go buy? You buy from the secondary market. But if you don't know what your business is, if it's primary market right now, you're in trouble. If
Hmm.
it's secondary market right now, the secondary market is on its way up. Why? Because inventory is shrinking. Inventory is shrinking and the costs are going so far up. The secondary market is where things are cheaper
Yes.
and they're in your local community.
Hmm.
That's what that secondary market is. And that is such an important thing to understand, because it's like if you have a business, let's say it's durable goods, you can either go get your laundry done at the laundromat or you can buy a washer and dryer.
Hmm.
But if there's no washer and dryer to buy, you have to go to the secondary market.
Yes.
So in business, what are you making here? And a community business like Monique just talked about earlier, and I really like the way that you talked about where you put your vending machines, why you put your vending machines. You strategically did it so that whoever was there, whether they were getting their hair cut
Hmm.
or they were giving blood to someone, ran into your vending machines on purpose and had to say, I'm a bit peckish right now. I want a thing of chips or crackers or
Hmm.
that Snickers bar or whatever it is that's out there. And that is understanding the secondary market. It's like, oh, this is down. I need to go here. I'm doing this. I'm going to be here on the other end. That's understanding the process of the secondary market. And I wonder, can you say a little bit more about the process of how your vending machine business went into the community areas? How did you choose them? I'm curious about that.
Well, we started with the janitorial business.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that we wanted to scale it to a certain amount. We also knew that we can get a contract for cleaning a chain of businesses. We weren't just
Mm,
cleaning houses. We weren't going to just clean, department stores. We wanted to clean a chain of companies that we could put another product in, which was the
love
vending.
it.
So when we start with the janitorial company, had the con had the contract for years, renewed it, and then positioned it. But we had our sons in there. I mean, we would myself and my daughter would come in periodically, but he would show them the front end. That hey, I'm shaking the hands with the owner. I'm talking to the manager. I'm checking out the break room. I'm seeing that they don't have this, this, and that.
Mm-hmm.
The cleaning part of it was excellent because that was excellent. Once you have, it's almost like your fans, right? Once you have somebody that knows you and trusts you, that likes to do
Mm-hmm.
business with you, that they like you, then you can bring something else in.
Yeah.
And it was the manager, not the owner of the chain. It was the managers that were local that were the persons who were the decision makers.
Mm,
Who the decision maker was. Okay, she's the division manager for all these. Went in, befriended her, knew her, gave her exactly what she wanted, went over and beyond, delivering great service, great customer service, excellent cleaning, doing things that are top notch that weren't even in the contract, outside the lights, the exercise,
wow.
just everything. Clean the baseboards. I mean, when you go in there, make her look good. Inspection time, she's passing,
Yeah.
because every week is consistent. And she,
Yes. Yes.
we need these kind of drinks. And in the break room, they had a whole different vending machine. They didn't have lunch there, and people were just coming in hungry. They weren't paid a lot of money, so they weren't buying Starbucks. So we had a little coffee machine. They had like hot chocolate and coffee and something else there.
Yeah.
And then you had the vending machines, a couple of subs, different things that were in there that stayed cool. Then you had the drinks, but we knew the drinks that they wanted. So then out front was something totally different. Those were all the drinks that were going to be like vitamin C based.
Yeah.
Cranberry juice, orange juice, had all that. Peanut butter crackers,
Yeah. I love those.
not the M&Ms and the stuff that was in the back,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was like the stuff that they needed so that they could donate plasma, so they could donate everything. And so
Nice.
once we had the vending machines in there, and we gave them another service. It was the janitorial, the vending machines, and then so some of the people that we hired, it's almost like so we got the blueprint from Work Did They Get Paid Today, but it was almost like a temp agency. So we knew
Oh,
people that were in the industry that we could feed because it was a high turnover. A lot of the CNAs, a lot of the phlebotomists, where you just go to
yeah.
school, get in there.
Yeah.
It was high turnover. We knew that was a problem for her. She would always complain, "Oh yeah, I'm down. These people, I got to stay late. I got to help out." Hmm. So what if you had more people to help you more employees. Yeah, but they need to have this, and this qualification. Okay, well, we can find it. We could outsource it and then be the intermediary and connect you with them. So I mean, we knew exactly what the need was and what we needed to do, and then executed it on an excellent level and got the whole chain. And we knew the guy that wanted to buy it
Hmm.
would want all those things lined up. He was going to want three different streams coming in and how to package it. Because when we first got there, we were just like, "Hi, how are you doing? We got the contract. We want to help you clean." And then we knew by a certain date we had to implement the next phase. And then we found out that there was a problem. So we were just problem solvers at that point, and we were just like, okay, that's the third thing we can do for them. So same thing with the barbershops. I have a lot of boys. They were getting their hair cut. Guess what? You know us. You know them. They have a little bit of machine business. They would go to Sam's, get the food, the snacks, gum, just stuff that was inexpensive
Yeah.
for all the kids that were in there. And
It's so interesting how we look at business, and there's so much hype around having an online business, and we think somehow that small business is getting hammered. Right now it is.
mhm,
And it's getting hammered because everybody is selling this business here.
mhm,
But the truth is, whatever business you grow, starting now, if you want to build wealth, real wealth, building relationships is the biggest thing you can do. So I build communities. I build them online and I build them offline.
mhm,
And that's the thing. It's like when you go, my son needs a haircut, you suddenly are, everybody knows you, and there's some familiarity and trust that gets built up. So if you're building a business around your community right now, building the community relationship is the most important thing. In the beginning of whatever it is, you're definitely going to have a better business, a better business if you understand what your community needs.
yes.
And that's exactly where she spent the most time. What do they need at this place? It's different than what they need at this place, and it's different for what they need at this place. And so even if you start like a vintage store, then you could start, here's my vintage clothing store.
Hmm.
Here's my secondhand store. Here's secondhand goods and services and things like that. They're still serving the community in a way, and you can make them fun to be in or fun to look around at, because, secondhand stores can be fun like that.
Hmm.
And they're a fun business if you own it, because it's like coins. You have to go to the garage sale to
Hmm.
find it. You can't buy from the primary market to get the secondary item.
No.
So the thing is, you have to figure out, my community needs more primary business, or does your community need more secondary business? So this is so important as you're growing it, because right now, if you are investing in a new farm, you need to find out where something, if you have a farm in a food desert, woo, that's good.
Hmm.
And if you have a farm in an area where people love to buy locally, and you have a farm stand, like, I like farm stands better than farmers markets, because there's fees and stuff over here at the farmers market to get your stall up. And if you have a farm stand, then people automatically come to your farm. And in some of those perfect areas, they just leave a box, and you leave money in the box. And they're local, and they're people who are like, well, I always get my eggs from Wrights down the block. If you do that and they have that box there, I just go in and I get my eggs and I put my money in the box. I put my cash in the box,
Hmm.
and then I go home. There's no dues. There's no tea. There's like right on my property right there. And so it's any of those businesses that you're thinking about doing in that secondary market need to have a secondary flow.
Hmm.
So you have to have in that, you choose, I'm going to be a primary market business or a secondary. So primary market business, um, an insurance company in your area. If you have a franchise of an insurance company, that's pretty primary. You got to have home, you got to have life,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to have car. Insurance is insurance, you got to get it. But in that secondary market, there is no substitute for insurance.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get it from the primary market. And you have to understand, why am I doing this? If you have this primary market, then you need an A-bill business.
Yes.
An A-bill business is an insurance company. Why? Because an A-bill business, you have to have insurance. It's the law. So as long as that's the law, that's an A-bill business.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get down to the secondary market and you have a farm and a farm stand, you are a primary asset, which is food,
Mm-hmm.
and you're in the secondary market, which is I feed my community locally. And those businesses are going to be on the rise. Why? Because shipping is going to be very expensive. And the inflation did that because of this oil. It is an oil crisis right now around the world. It just had, you're not feeling it yet. You're just feeling it at the gas pumps. And you're not feeling the shortage of.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're noticing some of the new shortages, but you're not feeling it yet. But if this stays longer, I think we'll be feeling it within the next couple of weeks.
We had talked a while back, Vickie, about some shortages that could happen. We're talking about, hey, kids are growing. Go ahead and
Mhm.
buy shoes and clothes. And so my kids have a lot of shoes already. They don't have a lack of things. So I
Yeah.
didn't really like. I was thinking, okay, what do they need that they wear a lot of? Let me go ahead and buy a lot of sweat shorts, jogging suits, a lot of things that they're going to work out in, their
Mhm.
equipment. Let me go ahead and get a little bit of that ahead of time. Something happened. Could not find the spikes. Could not find the spikes that my sons wear anywhere in their size. It was like a size 4.5. What grown person? Well, there might be some, but they typically wear between a 10 and a half, 11, 12, 12 and a half. We
Yeah.
couldn't find it. And
Wow.
so we went online to the Nike store because we have an account. They said, hey, it's back ordered. So we were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So now we're trying to find a different shoe that's comparable out of stock.
Yeah.
So people are seeing that there is a shortage coming. And I
Mhm.
don't know when they would ship them because we've been waiting for Nike to send us an email saying, we're going to send you shoes. Now, these shoes are like $205. We can't find them now.
Wow.
What's going to happen when we do find a pair? How much is it going to cost us?
Hi, it's now 279.
Right? And at that point, I'm like, just run barefoot.
All the Ethiopian people do it. Let's run barefoot. Oh
You
God,
can
that's
do it
so
too.
funny.
You can do it too. Put on a good pair of socks with the tread on the bottom. You'll be fine.
It's so interesting because there's a lot that is coming from China. And I want to
Mhm.
talk about today because today we have talked about a lot and you have learned a lot, I hope. You've learned a lot about the difference between being permissioned and being having ownership and sovereignty and stewardship. You learn the difference between the primary markets and the secondary markets. You've learned the difference between horizontal and vertical diversification. You've learned things about ownership that aren't taught to the average American and or the average in the whole world. They're just not, they don't talk about this. So when we talk about building wealth, there's tons of people pitching systems about wealth. Here's the system of wealth. And you have to look at, now that you have this discernment with you,
Mhm.
when somebody is pitching you something, are they pitching you a diversification that is vertical or horizontal?
Mm-hmm.
Is it in the primary or secondary market? Which is it? So, um, for real estate, I would think that the primary market is home ownership and
Mm-hmm.
the secondary market is rental. So if you own a rental, and then the thing about the primary market are you permission based? Are you stuck in an HOA?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're in the secondary market, the answer is probably yes. You don't get choices until you start owning.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, you're either going to be a homeowner or a landowner with a home on the land. And that's vastly different. This can be permission based. We've talked about all of that. And I hope that you're seeing or you're understanding the difference between the system
Mm-hmm.
and sovereign wealth. And I know that a lot of you are like, well, sovereign wealth, that's the assets of a nation. Yes. Now, sovereign wealth, there's two types of sovereign wealth, which is the assets of the nation.
Mm-hmm.
And the assets of the nation are being tokenized right now. That's a hint. I'm just telling you, all the
Mm-hmm.
assets of every nation are being tokenized. Look it up. Over here in this secondary market, if you build an asset, you want it to be cash flow veins,
Yes.
not cash flow. There's no such thing as passive income. That's a pitched thing about set it and forget it. There is no set it and forget it wealth.
No.
So when we get over here and we learn to steward our wealth, we can see if it's a cash flow vein.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to have more than one. We talked about having more than one so that we're not swallowed up by having only one income source. You don't want to depend on any one thing.
No.
So, in that, the last thing that we talked about is why it's necessary to have a home based business.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have a physical home based business or you can have an online business. Go ahead.
Before you go there, I got a question for you, Vickie. What do you think about what they're calling franchises? So
Mm,
they think that, well, there's two definitions right now that are going wild online. Everybody wants to invest in, for instance, a fast food restaurant, but they don't own the building, they don't own the land,
that's
they
right.
own the right to use the licensing for that company to make money. They're
That's
being
right.
trained as an employee, and you got
Yeah.
to be trained, for however long. So some people are like, "Oh my God, that's the quickest way to build wealth." I'm like, "But what are you owning? What what do you own when the other person is licensing it, has control? What if the person that owns the building goes bankrupt? What are your thoughts about franchising?"
Yeah, I don't like it for that reason and because the dues are so high. There is so much you have to pay for advertising, so much you have to pay. I mean, there's so many dues. And while I think over time, franchises were great before the internet came and up into the 90s, franchises were okay. But now it's like there's so many faster ways of making money online. You can have no income right now and build a lifeboat business that gives you income in less than 30 days.
Right.
So why would you go over to that? And so
Hmm.
I think we've outgrown the franchises. I think there's going to be owners, licensees, like McDonald's owners who retire will put their business up for sale. It's already profitable. The customers are there. The things are in place, blah, blah, blah. And I think there's going to be a lot of more do it yourselfers coming out because um, part of owning is you have to understand what you're owning, why you're owning it, and what it's for. And we did a lot of that today. If you didn't take notes, you're crazy. And a lot of this that we're saying right now, you can't learn unless you pay thousands and thousands and
Yeah.
thousands and thousands and thousands to be in insider groups. And
Hmm.
so the thing is, what happens if we just tell everybody? And what if you, one, right now, subscribe to the podcast? because when you subscribe, you'll learn more and we'll share more and there'll be more. And if you want to learn how to do all these kinds of deals and you want to learn all of these kinds of things, how to have a lifeboat business or whatever, you want to subscribe to Wealth Rules, this you Substack right here. We're going to share with you and tell you we have an app coming out that's going to be private, and it's going to have all of these things in here. Not only that, but we're going to show you some deals. We're going to show you how to do the deal, how to do due diligence, how to grow that kind of business, how to get those cash flows going, and everything else we're talking about on this show. The reason being is because it's your freedom right now that is being usurped from you without you knowing it by all this great propaganda. And we keep talking about this over and over and over again. We're going to be talking about the hidden rules and talking about wealth in a way that helps you understand how to move forward, whether it's vertical or horizontal, primary or secondary. We want to give you what the wealth tools that are being used by the wealthy. It's exactly like Grant Cardone. He's like, multimillionaires, we don't invest in the market. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why isn't Grant Cardone heavily invested in the
In the
market?
market.
And why is Robert Kiyosaki? I mean, talk about the rich dad, poor dad guy. Why does he hate the market? Why? And why has he been for decades preaching that this other side of it, move from employee and over to business owner and
Yes.
then investor? It doesn't mean go buy investments in the market. It learn to be an investor. So the last thing I want to leave us with is, no matter who you are, I don't care if you're broke or mega wealthy, you are an investor. You have been an investor your whole life. You
Yes.
have invested in your education. You've invested in relationships. If you don't like your investments, change them. What you're focusing on, if you binge watch Netflix and you're like, gosh, I can't let go of the binging, you're an investor of your time and you're giving it to Netflix. And that's what you're doing. There is nobody that isn't an investor. No one. Everybody is an investor.
Yes.
And what makes us better is when we start becoming aware of what we're investing in. If you invest in yourself, your own education, your learning, your everything else, it will help you thrive in the future. If you don't like what you're investing in, change your investments. That's what I want to leave you with today. And I want to let Monique leave you with something as well.
What I want to leave you with is this. I know we talked about a lot today. Like
Mm-hmm.
that, I hope you watch the replay and I hope that you take notes because this isn't shared. That's why we wrote the book Hidden Rules,
Mm-hmm.
because this is not what they're teaching you or what they taught you. And what they have taught you and what you've been practicing, if you're like me, you already knew something was off. What they were teaching you wasn't right. And you can't find the information that you're going to get here anywhere else. And the conversations that we're having, you're not going to be able to find them unless you subscribe so that you don't miss anything. I know we come on Thursdays, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time.
Mm-hmm.
Bring your lunch, listen to us. We have dialogue. We have a great time. I always have a great time with Vickie. We just
Ditto.
sit here and just enjoy talking about getting unstuck.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's just our hope and desire that you either read the book, you watch our podcast, you're going to join our app later on and have that community there, online, offline, and become unstuck. That's our goal. That's our desire for you. So,
Yeah. Hold that book up for me a second. Hold it all the way up. This is the Hidden Rules. It's what they left out when they taught you about wealth. And here's the thing. I think it's $1 to change your life. And the link is over there in the chat. So you can
yeah.
click the link and buy it for $1. And it will change the way you see wealth and how to build it and how to create freedom, real freedom.
Yes.
And so it's optionality and choices and freedom. So I just want to say thank you. Monique, I love talking with you. We become fast friends, and it's, we're thick as thieves now. We can't help it. But I want to say that I enjoy everything about talking about this with you. And if you're looking right now, you don't have to take huge steps.
Yeah.
First, read the book, learn the directions, see what they don't want you to see.
Yeah.
Just see how you're being manipulated. See the other side for a moment and just stay in that area and say, what else can I learn about wealth that isn't taught to the average person? You're not going to learn it at the university. You're not going to even learn it at Wharton's Business School. There are some things that are experiential. And
Yes.
as we go into this high, I don't know what to do. I can't find a job. Well, then you need to pivot and
Mm.
start creating wealth flows. That's what this show is going to help you do. It's going to help you pivot in a strong way so that you're not ever stuck again, because everything is about access and permission based and getting you completely stuck in someone else's agenda other than yours. So we are the Wealth Rules Podcast. I'm Vickie Helm,
I'm Monique Wright.
and we'll see you on Thursday at noon. All right, you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.